Our last game today is Fountains, designed in 2025 by Kendrick Winks, art by Sean Ellis, 1 to 5 players, 30 to 45 minutes, ages 10 plus, published by The Op Games.
In the game of Fountains, you are a master architect tasked with building the finest fountain in Florimelle. On your turn, you move one of the 3 tokens on the central board 1 to 3 spaces, skipping occupied spaces to land on an empty space. Then you're going to take the top tile next to the space and add it to your expanding fountain. You can build both up and out, but it's essential to keep the water flowing from jets to your entire fountain. Pools that are blocked off won't score until water is supplied to them. Water can flow down from an upper fountain, but never up to a higher level. Each tile offers features that can score points if someone lands on a green, blue, or white space with the matching colored token. While the blue scoring is triggered, or when the blue scoring is triggered, players count up the number of separate pools in their fountain. The player with the most scores 10, the second player scores 6, and so on. Green scoring rewards players for the largest single group of adjacent lily pads in their fountain, with each pad scoring points equal to the level of the lily pad's location. So a lily pad on the first level would score 1 point, while a lily pad on the second level would score 2 points. The white scoring token rewards players for fish in their fountain, with the player triggering the score determining whether red, white, or black fish will score. Fish score points based on the fountain level they are in as well, with wild fish counting as any color. Players may boost the features in their fountains by landing on the bonus token space on the central board. In addition, players can earn 5 points every time they add coins to their fountain. The game ends when one of the stacks of tiles or the bonus tokens run out. Players will score pools, lily pads, and fish one last time, with each player selecting which type of fish they would like to score. In addition, players can play with fountain design cards, which add endgame scoring bonuses for completing various objectives, and the player with the most points wins. This game has foam core tiles. They're a little bit thicker that stack up, and they're
I wondered if you were going to go there on the front end. Yeah,
round and they're kind of puzzly that fit together and make really cool shapes on the table as you're playing. What do you like about this one, Michael?
Well, before I get into that, have you ever seen foam core in a tile placement drafting? I mean, essentially, you're building out your own tableau, like.
No, I feel for some reason I'd have to think about that, but I feel like there is another game that has that, but I cannot place it right now.
Man,
but it is unique.
I love the feel of it. Yeah, just the tactile nature of the pieces and how they move around on the table. I thought the insert that it goes back into, the op is crushing it with some of those pieces that, it started with Gnome Hollow, and then we saw T-Witches and even with Fountains, just how pieces fit back together in there. I love this game. There's so much, and I could go so deep, and I don't know how to get it all into an 8-minute review, but I'm going to try to be succinct here, and I'll give you my notes fresh. I enjoy moving the little, like the deluxeified versions of the meeples from Sorry around the little inner circle. You've got, help me out with the colors here, Doug, but I believe, is it white, blue, green? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Boom,
yes.
baby. 1 for 7 on colors today. You got the white, blue, green meeples that you're moving around up to 3 spaces. And sometimes you want a very specific one to land on a very specific color so it can fire off and you can get points. And other times, the one thing you're going to make sure is that that's the one you do not move.
Yeah.
So I love that decision of the central board and then my own fountain. And looking at the central board and looking back down at my own fountain. And kind of that interaction of, we're all on the central board, and then I have my own fountain. And I love that interaction back and forth. Admittedly, that's where some mistakes can happen for me, though, is if I'm too focused on my own fountain, I'll leave something open on the central board. If I'm too focused on the central board, I might have inadvertently just cut off a fountain and reduced some points for me. So that's the thing that I love, is also the thing that I've got to work on in my future plays with it.
Yeah, there is something really cool about the decision space in this game where you look up, it's your turn, you see where all the pawns are on the board, and you're looking at, okay, which spaces are available? So which tiles can I actually take? Which a lot of times it's like the tile I want is actually already covered, so I can't get it. So you're reduced down to the ones that are available, and then you're thinking, okay, well, if I add this, then what tokens and spaces are opened up for my opponents to go to, where if the player to my right is crushing it on fish, I certainly don't want to open up the opportunity for him to score fish when I've got hardly any, or lily pads or pools, whichever scoring opportunity is. So, but as the player, if I'm stacking lily pads, I'm looking, is there a way that I can open that up or take advantage of that to score those points? And I love that decision. It didn't come out as much. It came out halfway through our first game. We were playing a 2-player game where it's like, I cannot keep letting him score that. And then it's a situation like, oh, I need to do a better job of shutting it down.
Defense.
And then the next time we played, it was a lot more apparent of how you can manipulate the board. Like, man, may not be the tile I want the most, but I also can't open up that space for somebody else to score it.
Exactly.
Because it can become a runaway leader problem if you open it up and just, well, we're scoring pools again. And it's like, shoot, I'm behind. Whoop, we're scoring
we played it at 2, we played it at 4, and it does appear that this game is designed to mitigate against some of the runaway leader as long as everyone at the table can get on the same page and see what the runaway leader's doing. Right?
Exactly.
If everyone can see what's happening, it can be stopped, and it can be stopped fairly quickly. So I have 2 things. One of them you'll hear before. You're going to have to listen to me for a third time. Another one will be new. Doug, I am excited to see how people in game groups play this game over time. I hope this gets mainstream appeal. I hope this isn't a game that just disappears, because I think different game groups and different households will have different house rules with this. Last night, we had a player who's brilliant, friend of the podcast, MIT grad, very, very good at math, asking Doug, how many pools do you have, before choosing to score pools or not. And like the gamer in me, I didn't like that a whole lot. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Make your turn, man. Decide what you're going to do.
Count
Maybe
the pools
you're in
yourself.
first and you get 10. Maybe you're in second and you get 6. And I could just see different groups having different house rules where that could be totally okay in your house. And everyone looks down and counts before the player makes their turn. But then that same player goes to a game group or to a meetup at a local tavern, and they're just like, I don't know. Why don't you make the turn and find out? And you could just see the different dynamics of different, not house rules, but the etiquette. The gamer etiquette really impacts the play in this, because those in-game scoring conditions, they matter, man. The fish and the lily pads and the pools.
Well, and it's cool when you throw in like the design cards, those end-game scoring objectives, because there are opportunities in this game where those in-game scoring things keep coming up, and you have to kind of, I don't want to say stick to your guns, but if you're going after end-game scoring and dabbling in a little bit of that, you have to be like, all right, I'm getting lapped right now, but when we get to end-game scoring, I've got a ton of points there.
Which, if you would have let me do that last night, I'm telling you, I might have been in first, but I'm certainly in solid second. If you would have just continued to let me get those end game scoring and ride out your lead, but there are other games that we talk about and we just move on from and they're gone, right? That's one that's like, I want to try this. I want to try that approach. I want to see if I can really push the lead in one area, just ride it all the way to the end.
Yeah. Well, and I think we talked last night after we got done playing it, is that there's 3 scoring opportunities, and if you throw in the coins that you can get, it's a 4th scoring opportunity. And then you have the end game scoring, and maybe that's a 5th or 6th type of end game thing. And you can realistically go after 2.5 of them. You can't do everything, which is always a sign of a great game. You want to do more.
According to Doug.
Yeah, for me. You wish you could be invested in everything, but you can't. You can only do a little bit. But it also there are moments in the game where sometimes your strategy dries up and you need to pivot. And so
Yeah.
even though you were all in on lily pads or endgame scoring or whatever, they're like, I maybe need to start getting into the pool game and
Yeah.
start dabbling in that. Or if somebody else is just racking up fish, it's like, well, I better start to collect that color fish, because if they're going to keep triggering it, I want to make sure I score points off that. So I love the idea of picking a starting strategy based on the first couple tiles that you take, but then as the game unfolds, you need to pivot and move around to different stuff, which I think is what makes it interesting the whole way through.
Yeah, and what I was thinking about after that game last night, I wonder if the game closes in on itself in some ways. I had no interest in collecting pools, but by the end of the game, I was almost accidentally close to third place in the pools category, and that just had me. I wonder if naturally people aren't pushed closer together as some of those drafts take place, because if you're all incentivized for the balanced scoring conditions that we've talked about, I just wonder if that isn't something that happens with that game. Now here's the repeat part, that this will be the third time you've heard, but first time for our listeners. Going forward for me, this is a game that I will be a game manager and show people how the game plays and do all of the bookkeeping and all of the in-game scoring and do all of the teaching and take that half hour for the team. And then I'm going to sit down and try to crush people, because I don't think this is a game that I would successfully be able to just nerf, to take it easy on and to ease in. And I do think it's a game where if someone has played before, they kind of owe it to the rest of the group to just get them up and running. In our house, we've done the same thing with Azul. Basically, if we're introducing people to Azul for the first time, I'm kind of in charge of making sure that all the tiles get placed out. If anyone has a question, I need to stop what I'm doing and answer any questions that come up. And I would approach Fountains in an even more of a teacher aspect and say, all right, I'm going to be the game teacher here.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to sit down and play.
Yeah. Yeah, because once you know the secrets of, and more, it's the systems that you can manipulate, right? And it's offensive and defensive. So once you know the game, you know how to maximize and spam points potentially. And if you know the game, you know how to cut other people off when you need to. And having that knowledge going up against people that don't know that, they're going to flounder for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a great approach when introducing that.
Definitely a game that's in your wheelhouse, where thinking ahead and efficiency. So I want to just give you some positive words of affirmation and thank you for teaching some of the rules wrong to me the first time, so that I could sprawl out and absolutely dominate the lily pads by playing it wrong in the first game. It's one of those interesting things that afterwards something must have just been gnawing at our host Douglas, and he's like, what was wrong with that? Oh yeah, we had a rule wrong in our first play. Well, let's get it right, and let's get out and get the win in our second game.
No, and it's funny because it wasn't actually gnawing at me. It was just a thing of like, oh, this is the one I want to. We played it 2 players. I'm like, I want to try it with more players, and so I'm like, I'm going to refresh on the rules. And you're like, oh yeah, well, I guess I glossed over that thing. It's like you read enough rules. It's like it's a little bit of that ego of like, all right, I got it. All right, I don't need to. All right, look at a couple examples, and I got it, and I just missed over stuff. And it was one of those things where it's like the first time through, it was like, gosh, that seemed like it took longer. Well, of course, idiot. I was supposed to take some tiles out.
How's the rule book?
It's great. Yeah,
Good.
no, it's perfectly fine.
Good.
It's user error 100%. But just a beautiful production and a great game. And
I hope it gets some love. I hope it's around, and I hope,
as of
we
right
come
now,
back to it.
It's a 7.7 on Board Game Geek, so seems like people are enjoying it, and it looks beautiful on the table. So if you ever walk by it, it's one that you just kind of stops you in your tracks and say, ooh, what's that? Works out really well thematically and visually. So that is Fountains from the Op Games.